Absolute insanity from the wonderful world of dinosaurs. Look at this. Yes, Nanotyrannus, if it's a valid genus separate from Tyrannosaurus, likely had feathers, at least in patches or as juveniles. So, what exactly does this mean? Okay, what exactly are scientists telling us with this indication? So, what they're doing is that they're admitting that their narrative that dinosaurs had feathers was completely wrong. And they're trying to pivot on the back foot. They're trying to tell people that, like, no, 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 no. Some of them had feathers. This close relation to the Tyrannosaurus Rex had feathers, but it's a completely different species. They are in complete denial about the feather thing. They are so desperate to try and get this narrative accepted by the masses, even though there's like clearly no evidence for it. It's clearly something they've made up. It's clearly something we're gonna look back at and laugh at like 20 years from now. Kind of like the whole like Spinosaurus versus T Rex thing back in the 90s. Oh, remember when T Rex couldn't see like animals if they weren't moving, right? Remember that? Like, here's the evidence. Phylogeny. Nanotyrannus is a small tyrannosaurid closely related to Tyrannosaurus rex. Early tyrannosaurids, like Uteranus, had extensive feather coats preserved in fossils, shaggy, filamentous protofeathers up to 20 centimeters long. Skin impressions. No direct skin fossils exist for Ninotyrannus, but large adult T Rex specimens show scaly skin on the tail and hips. However, even T Rex juveniles likely had downy feathers. What? Why? What evidence do you have? What? So, like, what they're trying to do, they're sitting there and they're trying to tell you that this other species of dinosaurs that was totally closely related to the T Rex that had feathers. So that means that, like, oh, the T Rex had to have feathers too. It's like, what? Are you? I don't know. I'm just I'm not an expert on dinosaur lore and the science and like paleontology, but like to me, it just seems very obvious that like they're just straight up making things up and they're just hoping that the public don't get like uppity about this. Like I don't know, man. This is just a really good example of just how out of touch this is a really good example of just how the scientific world is trying to gaslight you into believing things that obviously aren't true, right? We have like pretty we have retrieved like I think fossilized skin samples from T-Rex before. I think we have a pretty good idea of how this thing looked and how it moved and like what it was like when it was alive. So like this weird out of nowhere theory that's propped up in the last 10 years that like, oh, secretly dinosaurs were covered in feathers. Like, no, like I don't want to hear it. So with all that being said, like how long can this kind of grift continue? Like how long can paleontologists keep like pulling all these crazy things out of their hats before people start calling them out on their nonsense? Because I, as like a casual enthusiast about this kind of thing, can tell you that a lot of what we think we know about dinosaurs is probably wrong. A lot of it is guesswork. A lot of it does is up in the air. We're not certain. So, like the simple fact of the matter that like these scientists are so insistent on like gaslighting people into thinking dinosaurs secretly had feathers all along. It's like if that was true, this would have been a theory that was posited like long before their like big boom of popularity in the 90s, right? Like it just doesn't make any sense to a casual observer that like secretly they were feathered all along. It's so annoying. And it seems to me almost that like scientists are more interested in like creating discourse and like this debate around something that like really has no basis, like instead of like, actually finding out more things about these animals and figuring out what they do know, like they're just circle jerking about something that everyone already knows isn't actually true. That's kind of my feeling looking at this, and like the lack of evidence for this notion that T-Rex was covered in feathers. It's just annoying. It is so unbelievably obnoxious. Let's see. Scientists are insane, man. They just rolled back T-Rexes having feathers, and instead of admitting they were wrong, they invent a whole new species of T-Rex. Like that's kind of my thoughts on this as well, is that like they just do this kind of thing all the time, and like you just can't take them seriously. Like you just can't respect it. Like why are you releasing these statements that like dinosaurs could have had feathers? Like I don't care if they could have. I want to know if they did. And like the simple fact of the matter is like there is no proof for it. Like they wouldn't use that kind of language if there was real proof to it. And this is a really good example of that. I heard that dinosaurs went extinct because they didn't bless Israel. Yeah, I heard that too. Gotta touch that wall. Let's see. They have always been like this. All the stories about breakthroughs coming from men outside academia and the establishment trying to ruin them rather than admit being wrong. They have too much pride that their theories are the truth. No actual science or facts will change that. Reminds me of a story about scientists in the late 19th century discovering bones of several different species and put them together to create an animal that never existed. They know as much about these ancient animals as you and I. Yeah, that's another thing. Like is that in theory it would be very easy to do, to just kind of like disassemble these animals and like reconstruct something that never existed. Like it's very possible that like a lot of popular dinosaurs didn't actually exist, that that they are completely different than what we imagine them to be. Like it's just uh not helping combat the dinosaurs are fake movement. Look what they stole from us. Yeah, that's a historically accurate T-Rex right there. I remember my dad telling me how all of that was made up as a little kid so that he'd get funding. I took it worse than Santa Claus. Yeah, it's bad. Like it's bad when you really look into it. Kind of like how global warming became climate change. Yeah, another 10 years and we'll be back to Jurassic Park. Yeah, so like this is just the thing, is that like scientists are like discrediting themselves, their own reputations, their own fields by making things like this up to secure funding. Well, like I think that's the real cause of this. Like the real cause, like to draw up interest in their fields. Like you see this with the climate people too, where they just insist that like the planet's getting hotter, guys, and yet there's no actual evidence for it. This is a very very similar situation, I think, and like I really worry about like scientists like undermining the seriousness of what they do by simply being this kind of shady and underhanded and ridiculous. Like this is kind of my mindset, like looking at this, is that like why exactly are they allowed to continue this farce? Like it needs to stop. Dinosaurs did not have feathers.